The Les 5150 podcast begins now. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode number 16. Hope you guys had a wonderful week. It's been pretty cool around here. Been streaming, doing the YouTube thing as well. So welcome back to the podcast. Let's see, where are we at this week? Well, Forza Horizon 3, I've been playing a lot of that on the Twitch stream. Some Star Trek Online, big event going on the Star Trek side of things. And as far as TV shows this week, another great episode of Lethal Weapon. I love that show. And then the show that I'm actually really getting into, Designated Survivor. I almost said Designated Sutherland. Kiefer Sutherland, the president in that show. That's a good show. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That show caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it to be as good. Like the first episode, the pilot episode was good, and I was like, okay, let's see if they keep this, keep it going. And man, episode number 1, because you have episode 0, the pilot, and episode 1, it was really good, really, really good. Highly recommend that show. And this week we had some questions, and I'll get to them at the end of the podcast. Well, I'm going to kind of tie the questions up with what I'm about to get into, because there was a thing on Twitter asking your 3 favorite bands of all time, or 3 albums that changed your life. 3 albums that changed your life. And the 3 albums I talked about was Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, the Beastie Boys' License to Ill, and Van Halen's 1984. And one of the questions everybody asked me is, where did Les 5150 EVH come from? Or what does the 5150 mean? What does the EVH mean? Well, I'm a huge Van Halen fan. Have been ever since I've heard 1984, because I was a little young when the other albums came out. But 1984 is the first record I remember listening to. I'd heard their songs on the radio stations before. My half-brother was a DJ up in West Virginia while I was born, for a radio station called J104.5. And I remember hearing Jump and stuff, and hearing, talks about Van Halen. It didn't really dawn on me at a young age, how big they actually were. But I do remember them being on MTV. And I remember going to a log cabin for Christmas, and somebody had left all these records there. And me and my brother and brothers are going through these records. And I found the smoking baby, the baby with the cigarette in his hand. And it was 1984. And I was like, put it on, because it was a different looking album cover, to be honest with you. And put it on, and we listened to it. And the opening up is the 1984 keyboards. It goes right into Jump. And that changed my life. I became hooked on Van Halen. And at the time, I was trying to learn to play guitar. Well, learning kind of, just kind of like fiddling around. After that album, I took it to a complete different level of learning to play guitar. I wanted to play like him. I wanted to sound like Eddie, because, man, and I'm sure, and I've talked to a lot of older guitar players, and they remember when, Eddie broke onto the scene, and everybody learning to play Eruption, and the first Van Halen song I probably learned was trying to tap out the beginning of Hot for Teacher, because I took a guitar lesson, and 2 songs I wanted to learn to play was Fly to the Angels by Slaughter and Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. And the guitar instructor said I probably wouldn't be able to learn those. I didn't like that answer, so I taught myself. And, there's a few Van Halen songs I couldn't play at one time on the guitar. And because one of them being, I think, 5150 from the 5150 album, because I think he used a Steinberger guitar on that track, like a trans trim, where he could change the whole pitch of the guitar by just hitting the whammy bar. But anyway, so Van Halen was like a huge part of my life. And then Appetite for Destruction, I remember being in PE, and this kid brought a cassette tape in. Told this story to my kids, and they were like, "What's a tape?" And I'm like, before CDs, before digital downloads. So anyway, kid brought in Appetite for Destruction. I remember looking at the album cover going, is this devil music? Because, the whole time Ozzy was devil music, and AC/DC was devil music, and the band Wasp was devil music. Anyway, so the PE teacher played Welcome to the Jungle. And it didn't, as a kid, it didn't really dawn on me. Or none of us knew what the song was about or what was going on. It just sounded cool because that. And just remember hearing that as a kid and already discovering Van Halen and hearing that sound made me go, well, that's a totally different guitar sound and I love it. And then asked my mom for the tape or the, tape, and please get me the tape. Didn't get it for me, and then I got it for Easter from one of my aunts. And yeah, so had to hide that, listen to it, and just loved that album. Golly, Rocket Queen is probably one of my favorite songs off that album. But Welcome to the Jungle, I mean, that's just a classic. Mr. Brownstone, Paradise City, Anything Goes, Night Train, Out to Get You. I mean, it's so easy. That bass line opening, the dung 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 dung, and then the drums. I sit here and probably hum out the whole album, and it's like you guys don't want me to sing. It's like my mod Rusty says, no singing on stream. I suck at it, I ain't gonna lie to you. But the other album, Beastie Boys, Licensed to Ill, my grandparents bought it for me. I don't think they knew what they were buying me. But I talked about that album a lot because I'd seen it in stores. And I remember seeing the records and the tapes, and the plane crashed on the front of the album cover, and I just thought it looked cool. I wanted it. I know that for a fact, and I know I've heard the song, a few of their songs, but I got that from my grandparents. And I would put on shows, I kid you not, I would learn all the raps, all the lyrics to the License to Ill and every song, and every week I'd show up to my grandparents, and I would do a different song for them. I remember doing Brass Monkey, Crafty, Rhyming and Stealing, Brass Monkey. I had no idea what the lyrics were about. I just wanted to impress somebody that I could learn them. So I did. And then around the same time, the Fat Boys was out as well, but they didn't impact me like the Beasties did. The Beastie Boys, every time they would have a new album come out, I remember rushing to get that album. And there's one funny story. Is me and a guy named Tyson were working together at a grocery store named Bilo down here in the South. And the new Beastie Boys album came out. It's So Nasty. And it had Intergalactic on it. And I think that was the name of the album. Anyway, the new album of Intergalactic came out. I probably got the album title wrong. It's 7:30 in the morning. I'm doing this podcast because I didn't get it out last night. But anyway, so we went and stood in line for the new Beastie Boy album. And we were pumped, man, because Intergalactic's out. And it's like, man, can't wait to listen to this. And, we're standing in line at Best Buy. And with the purchase of the CD, you got a free record. You got the whole record for purchasing the CD, as long as they limited supply, as long as you were one of the first ones. We were pumped. So we had to go to work that morning as well. So we got the record, we got the CD or whatnot, and we go to work. And we're listening to it, he's in his car and I'm in my car because we wanted to listen to it in different car, our own vehicles. And I'm listening to it on the way to work. Well, apparently we both put the CD in our back windows. We weren't thinking. Don't ask, okay? We go in and work and we come out and we both look at each other and our records had turned into like a bowl from the sun. And we were so upset. Oh my God, I'll never forget that day. And just looking at it, and I felt like my heart dropped, and I'm like, oh man. And I didn't even own a record player, so it was like I was never going to listen to it. It was just going to be a collector's item. But anyway, so if I could just go back in time and just, hey Les, I mean, you should probably take this in and ask the manager if you put it in his office. But anyway, because summertime down here in the South, well, anywhere basically in the South is hot. And in a car, it is like, I do not miss those days. Woo! But anyway, so those are the 3 albums that changed my life, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And those albums would always have a lot of meaning to me. A lot of albums have come out since then that I love and I'll listen to all the way through. But those 3 albums were the ones that actually made me, change my whole, the way I looked at music, my guitar playing, being interested in different genres of music, and going back and tracing what inspired Slash, what inspired Eddie. And then, looking at the other guys in the band, David Lee Roth and Axl Rose, and, just Guns N' Roses is like the only band in the Beastie Boys out of my childhood that I've never seen live. And I still go, and it's sad that MCA passed away. And then that kind of hurt when he passed away, because I'm such a huge Beastie Boys fan. But Guns N' Roses, charging a little bit too much for their tickets, and it's kind of like, they didn't play anywhere around here. It was almost 3.5 hour drive to go see them, and then tickets were like, $2.99 a piece for decent seats, and it was like, God, man, why can't they play around here? Come on. And I'm talking about on this reunion tour they just did this summer in 2016. And Beasties is one I'll never get to see, but the live footage of the Beastie Boys is it's so little of those guys. Like, just to even seem like, try to find a whole concert is almost dang near impossible. I've only found like 1 or 2. And there was a cool little fan film they put together. They took different, video footage from the crowd and put it together, which I thought was cool. And, of course, I've seen Van Halen a gazillion times. I even seen him with Gary Cherone. So, you know what, though? Honestly, man, I like Gary Cherone because I thought it was a different fit, but it worked. The lyrics were a little bit deeper than Van Halen lyrics had been because, with David Lee Roth, it was all about partying, getting laid and sex and more sex and more sex. And then with Sammy Hagar, it was about, getting older and falling in love and still partying, but, partying and having fun and making love. And then with Gary Cherone, it was like, I don't know what that means, but you sing really good, sir. And it was kind of like, I think with Van Halen fans, it was because I loved Extreme. I was a huge Extreme fan and still am. But with Gary, I loved his voice, and seeing him live, he nailed the Sammy Hagar songs. I'm not even gonna lie to you, he nailed them. Sounded phenomenal. David Lee Roth stuff, he did a good job on. And then again, in the Gary Cherone songs, and the lyrics were so deep that I think it lost people. Like, people were like, huh? So anyway, pretty much all the questions I received, and thank you guys for all the questions. They were really cool. But what I want to, pretty much, instead of like, it's funny, I have to say, somebody just sent me a message on Xbox talking about the remastered 1984 album. I swear to you, that's what that sound was. That doo-doo. It was somebody messaging me saying they were listening, and I thought that was weird. I'm sitting here talking about the album, and somebody just messaged me about it. So anyway, a lot of the questions were pretty much, what the Les 5150 stood for, and favorite movie of, one of my favorite movies of all time is Star Wars, Ghostbusters, and the 1989 Batman holds a special place in my heart. Along with the Lethal Weapon films, I love those movies. But, if I had to pick just one, that I absolutely love Star Wars. I love those movies, man. I love The Force Awakens. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I loved it. Cannot wait for Rogue One. Super excited about Part 8. To see where this story's going with Rey and stuff. What else? Other questions. Age. I'll be 39 in April. of next year, getting close to 40. I just say I'm close to 40 now. I'm closer to 40 than I am 30, so I'm close to 40. I still love to play video games, play with my kids as much as I can. Yes, injury. Yes, I do have an injury. I have a tear at my L5. It's it's not like it's made me. It just limits me to some things I can do. Anyway, other questions. How many kids? 3 kids. Beautiful wife. Ages 8, 12, and 13. So yeah, I just say I have 2 teenagers. Video games. I'm a huge video game fan. And as a matter of fact, first thing I ever got was a Commodore 64. It was the first thing I ever played games on. And I don't remember a whole lot about it because of my childhood. That's a different story for another day. I'll probably never tell. But anyway, I do remember having it. And I do remember having like certain games we played on it and trying to do all the sounds. I love tech. I love putting stuff together, taking it apart, and trying to figure out how it works. Just recently, the Roomba iRobot got a little water in it, and it fried the daughter board in it. So I'm in the process of trying. I don't think it's fixable, to be honest. I think we're just going to have to, I don't even know where to find that small little piece. I've found the motherboard. I can't find the little, they call it a daughter board. I can't find it. But anyway, it's like, it's fried. It's supposed to be green, like the standard board is. And it's black. It's fried. Hopefully, that's the only thing that fried it. I'm hoping that was a safety thing, like that shorted out and prevented it, and everything else was fine. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping for. Because that thing was expensive. I bought it for my wife for Christmas, which really wasn't the best Christmas present I could have ever bought. But still, nonetheless, got her one. And, you feel bad. You know what I mean? Like, you feel bad. You're like, dang, it was my dog that did it. So, she's got her dog. She's got a Great Dane. Oh, if you heard me talk about the puppy, another question is a German Shepherd. She is 100% German Shepherd from an AKC certified breeder, and she's wild. This was an interesting question, and no one's never asked me as long as I've been. Well, maybe one person. Guitars that I've owned. I've got my main guitar that has been with me since like 96, 97 is a black PV Wolfgang Special Edition. It just has a volume knob on it with the Floyd Rose on it. That's my main guitar. That guitar will never leave me. I've had 2 of those guitars, one with a red quilt top. Let me think of, if you go back and watch the Pound Cake video, he plays that guitar that I owned in that video. It's like a reddish color quilt top. And when I say quilt top, it looks like you'll know when you see it. And as soon as you see that design on the top of the guitar, you'll see it. The other guitar owns a Frankenstrat. It was a white Fender, black Fender at one time. It's been painted. It's white with black stripes. Looks just like the guitar on the back of the Van Halen 1 CD that Eddie's holding up. Because a lot of people think the red, white, and black striped guitar was the first guitar, and that wasn't. It was the black and white, and then the yellow and black, and then the red and white and black. So in that order. Pedals I use pretty much MXR, Dunlop, stuff like that. I got a whole pedal board that was custom built for me, actually by my wife's dad, my father-in-law. He built it for me. Now a beautiful case. If I ever get a chance, I'll take pictures and post them. That was pretty much all the questions. Thank you guys for answering the questions. And as the show goes on and we get more, because people didn't really know what to ask, I guess, because they don't know me. So filling you in a little bit. But yeah, so episode number 16 down in the books. Hey, we got a lot of football going on this weekend. Don't forget to stop by and say hello on the YouTube or the Twitch stream. It's Les5150 EVH under Twitch and YouTube. We'll be streaming for a while on Saturday, playing some, I'm sure, Madden, some Forza, some Star Trek, playing all that cool stuff, man. Stop by, say hello. Don't be a stranger. You guys keep it cool. I'm going to keep it real. I've been Les 5150, and you just been listening to the Les 5150 podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out. Have a beautiful weekend. I don't know where I was going with that last sentence, and I lost train of thought right That happens to me a lot. I lose train of thought. I'll just be sitting here talking, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, my thought was. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you Monday. Till then, we'll see you. Bye-bye.